channel members, Jadzia, the Nolan, and Paul Ritchie, all joining us with channel membership at the pad leader level. Really appreciate the support.
Joining you from the Advanced Spaceflight Operations Center at Cape Canaveral. This is an exciting place to be as the ULA team counts
our commercial partners. We have Astrobotics' Olivia Chapla, but first, let's start with ULA's Amanda Sterling with a check of how the rocket is doing.
Thanks, Megan.
Well, good evening, good morning, folks. Welcome back to the live feed. You're back for the current launch of the first commercial moon launch, Astrobotic Peregrine Mission 1. That is a ULA Vulcan. First time for this launch vehicle and a very important mission. NASA has just begun its live feed, and they are in the process of doing some interviews, but I just wanted to step in here real quick and basically give you the heads up that the launch is on time. We have about a 45-minute window until the first window of T0, and we are looking forward to an on-time launch. So we are going to just stand by right now, come in here in a minute to the NASA feed so you can check that out, and then we will keep track of the rocket and its payload, come back and give you some of the details here in just a minute. And we are preparing to hopefully, depending on the cloud cover, be able to get that launch live on our remote cam. And again, we're about 60 miles southeast of the Cape, so hopefully we'll be able to get some good shots for you. So we'll stand by for right now. We'll bring that feed in as soon as we can. Everybody, you can see we have the NASA broadcast up, and they are showing the Vulcan sitting on the launch pad. We're T-minus 39 minutes and 52 seconds at this point. Everything seems to be going well. Fueling was going well.
We're just a little over 30 minutes away from that whole lifting. The Vulcan continues on track with this timeline tonight. I want to thank a few more folks for their support this evening.
Alrighty. Alright, folks. Had a little bit of bleed over on a couple of audio channels here. Needed to clean that up. But we are back. And again, we have the NASA live feed that we're bringing through. Appreciate NASA for doing that. And NASA TV for providing the live feed. And what we have today going up is the first launch for the Vulcan. It's the certification mission Cert 1. And this is the VC-2S rocket. It's the first certification mission. It will be carrying a payload, first payload, privately to the moon. That's the Peregrine Lunar Lander and Peregrine Mission 1. Astrobiotic is the company that built that unit. And it's carrying a lunar payload, including some of the cremated remains of many individuals, including some of our beloved Star Trek actors from the past years. Launch time is scheduled for 2:18 a.m. Eastern. It's about 37 minutes, 7 seconds out. The Peregrine Commercial Lunar Lander is going to be launched into an elliptical orbit just over 220,000 miles. It has a suite of instruments. NASA's payload suite includes a LiDAR sensor, which is light direction and ranging. That was their contribution to the lander. That will give the exact velocity, position for the lander to land, and give its precise location when landing. And again, this is a certification mission. They are required to have 2 certification missions successfully before they will be certified to move forward. And a lot of that is the government contracts, the Space Force contracts that are very lucrative. They do have a backlog of about 70 launches right now, and that includes the vast majority of the Blue Origin launches for their satellite satellite internet constellation. We do expect, if we launch on time, we would have an end of mission at about 4 hours and 24 minutes per ULA. That includes all phases of the launch, launch separations, fairing separation, the Centaur main engine start and main engine cutoff, up to the Peregrine separation. We are on time right now. We have the feed coming through from NASA, and they're doing some interviews right now. And we will stand by until we get the feed. And there is the ULA rocket right there. And what you see is the clock, the T-clock, at holding at 7 minutes. That is a built-in hold. That was a 1 hour hold. Right now we're at T minus 34:17 with a 7-minute hold. Beautiful picture there. When the clock goes from 34 down to 7 and matches up with the launch clock, the launch clock will start moving again. So we are about 26 minutes and 57 seconds. If everything's going on time and with no problems, we would then be able to pick up the launch clock at 7 minutes and head from that point forward. So we're going to stand by for just a bit. See Astrobotics Mission Control. They are located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh company. Very proud of them. And thank them for sharing the feed through the NASA network. We'll stand by for the time being. We are at T minus 33 minutes 14 seconds and on a current 7-minute hold.
It to the launch pad today. Sitting in the middle left row is Flight Director Anders Solorzano. He is the acting flight director for this launch. And nearby is Alex Van Hoven. He is currently providing us updates on the spacecraft status. And Alex just informed me that the spacecraft is currently looking nominal. Temperatures and pressures are still as expected. As we continue to await launch, let's send it back to Megan at the host desk.
Thank you, Olivia. Again, Peregrine is flying with 20 payloads today. 5 of those are NASA's, and throughout the show, we will tell you about each one, starting first with the Linear Energy Transfer Spectrometer, or LETS, from NASA's Johnson Space Center.
I'm Nick Stoffel. I'm a physicist and professional engineer, science and operations lead for the LETS payload. The Linear Energy Transfer Spectrometer is a small, low-power radiation detector based on Timepics technology developed at CERN. It's similar to devices that we've flown on ISS and Artemis. The science we're expecting to get from the LETS detector is take that information and translate it from deposited energy in silicon, which is what we measure with this detector, into a more biologically equivalent value that we can utilize for crew protection. One of the key pieces, I think, that if we can capture would be outstanding is getting data from a radiation event, a solar storm on the moon, while crew are not there. That would be ideal from the standpoint of being able to get the data without putting crew at risk, and then utilizing that data to prepare for crew protection during the lunar operations.
Now, NASA's Science Technology Mission Directorate had a hand in today's launch. So here with me now is Nikki Werkheiser, Director of Technology Maturation. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
So tell me how STMD, that's the shortened version of the directorate there, tell me how it invests in small business like Astrobotics.
Of course. So the Space Technology Mission Directorate, our mantra is technology drives exploration. So if you're really going to create new disruptive technologies that change the world, you really have to work with a diverse group of individuals, and that means our small businesses, large businesses, international partners, other government agencies. Astrobotic is a shining example of that. STMD has been working with them for well over a decade. We've awarded over 40 Small Business Innovation Research Awards and our tipping points to develop new technologies for the mission.
So is that essentially like seed money? Is that how to consider it?
Yes, we're partners, right? We're partners in this. We say at Artemis we're going together, and we mean it. We're invested hand in hand in this.
And how have those financial awards, how have those helped Astrobotics?
So, for example, not only do we have science and different payloads aboard the mission, but actually parts of the lander itself, like our navigation Doppler LiDAR that helps with the guidance, navigation, and control. terrain relative navigation that helps to make sure that they can land in safe.
All right, and we are at T-minus 29 minutes and 53 seconds. Again, at 7 minutes, the launch clock will start moving. Everything is nominal. The control for the launch is indicating that pressures, temperatures, everything looks good, and the payload is healthy. As you can see, we are just continuing to top off the tanks, both first and second stage. We are looking at an on-time launch, hopefully just under 30 minutes. And we'll be standing by.
incredible importance either through solar wind or through micrometeoroid impacts, and then migrates to the poles of the moon where it's captured into dark, permanently shadowed craters. If there is water at the poles of the moon in substantial quantities, that might be of incredible importance and use to human exploration going forward.
Now we still have 3 more NASA payloads to tell you about flying on NASA.
inaugural Vulcan launch spaceflight operations center. I'm joining you from ULA Space Force Station Spaceflight Operations Center at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. Thanks for staying up late or getting up early with us for today's exciting first certification flight launch, or Cert 1. Vulcan's certification flight 1. This is the first of two planned test flights to support. This is the first certification of the Vulcan rocket for U.S. government missions. Certification of the Vulcan.
Alright folks, sorry about that mishap on the audio. A couple of channels got scrambled up here. But anyway, we're at 23 minutes and 46 seconds to launch. At this point in time, everything is looking good. Tanks continue to be topped off. And we are in good shape for an on-time launch, hopefully. At 7 minutes on the clock, the launch clock will resume. Heading towards T0. And we will be standing by. As you can see right now, we got a great shot of the vehicle. Looking forward to an on-time, exciting launch this evening.
Difficult, stressing mission, which is a high energy mission. We have
Alright everyone, this is a live feed from the ULA stream. Appreciate the opportunity to share that with you and thank them for providing that. Let you listen in for just a second before we get down to T0, which will be in approximately 20 minutes.
That a small change to our design, a small change to the upper stage would give us increased performance and ability to lift more spacecraft to the low Earth orbit and really position us well for supporting the Kuiper contract and our Kuiper customer.
Yeah, and the result of that was the largest launch contract ever. And so with that, Vulcan has positioned ULA to help support national security, NASA, and our commercial market. So we're very excited about the future. Go Vulcan, go Centaur, go Cert-1.
I'm now joined by ULA President and CEO Tori Bruno. Tori, thank you so much for joining us on this monumental day. I've been a part of the Vulcan team for a number of years, so I know how focused the whole ULA team has been. Can you talk a little bit about the teams that came together to design, build, and now launch this rocket?
I am so proud of our people, and I think we had exactly the best possible team. We've got folks that designed rockets before, like Atlas and Delta, but we also have the majority of our team, people like yourself, that are earlier in their career, know the new tools, aren't sort of handcuffed by some of the conventions that we used before, and can do really creative and innovative work while also not making the mistakes of the past.
Absolutely, and Vulcan is such a unique rocket. What are you most proud of about this vehicle?
I'm really proud of the fact that we still service the high energy marketplace, a unique thing that is really important to our nation's security, that no one else has an architecture that will do that, while at the same time breaking all the rules and having the dial-a-rocket architecture that gives it the flexibility to reach down into that LEO marketplace and be very competitive there as well.
Absolutely. So we're getting pretty close to liftoff now. How do you expect to feel watching the Vulcan rocket lift off for the first time?
Tremendous excitement and anticipation. I got to tell you, I've done over 400 launches. They're all the same. I always get butterflies. This one's really special because of what it means to our country, to our customers, and to the team that has worked so hard, including you, Agent Sterling.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you get back to it so you can make sure you watch liftoff, and let's go.
Go Vulcan. Thank you.
All right, folks, we're back. This is, again, the feed from the ULA stream. Appreciate the ability to bring that to you. We're at T-minus 17 minutes and 4 seconds. At the 7-minute mark, it will match up with the launch countdown clock, and we should be at that go for launch. Again, we're just under 17 minutes, and everything as far as we've been looking at is looking green for an on-time launch. We'll be standing by.
Years-long process that included many people, like engineers, welders, and technicians, who designed and built the spacecraft.
To be on the pad today with our spacecraft strapped to a giant 200-foot tall launch vehicle, it's a little surreal. It's a moment I've been dreaming about, and this first mission is just our first step to make space accessible to the world, and it certainly will not be our last.
Line item 911 has been disabled. Roger.
Also riding atop today's Vulcan rocket is the Celestis Memorial Spaceflight Payload. Let's learn more about this mission.
Celestis' Enterprise flight carries capsules containing cremated remains, DNA samples, and greetings from Celestis' clients worldwide. The capsules are integrated into 2 carriers that are mounted to the forward adapter on ULA's Centaur upper stage. The carriers will remain affixed to ULA's Centaur as it travels into a heliocentric orbit around the Sun, where it will remain for eternity. The Enterprise flight is Celestis' first deep space mission.
Flight control, LC.
Go ahead, this flight control.
Reduce Vulcan hydraulics to standby. Roger.
Today's rocket includes the American flag across the inner stage, as well as logos on the payload fairing representing ULA, Vulcan, and Astrobotic. While this is the inaugural launch of the Vulcan rocket, the CERT-1 flight test marks ULA's 159th launch. Let's learn more about this innovative new rocket.
Maintain operational silence in the LCC.
Go, LOX 2.
Centaur LO2 at flight level.
Roger. Terminal count briefing. If a condition exceeds a launch constraint, anytime after the terminal count status check, the observer shall announce hold, hold, hold on channel 1, identify their station, and briefly state the reason for the hold. RLM, verify redline monitor and event table on the correct configuration for terminal count.
Verified.
As we approach the terminal count pole, let's check in on today's weather. The Space Launch Delta 45 forecast for this morning's launch is looking good. The probability of violating launch constraints is 15%. Ground winds are 15 to 20 knots out of the north, and the temperature is 57 degrees Fahrenheit. The primary concern for launch is the thick cloud layers rule.
L minus 11 minutes.
All right, everyone, we're at T-minus 10 minutes and 25 seconds. Again, in about 3.5 minutes, the launch clock will match up, and the main launch clock will start turning again.
Go to pick up the count. 29 engineers and managers are polled for system status and readiness to proceed. This is the final status check for all Vulcan vehicle systems, ground systems, spacecraft, and the U.S. Space Force Eastern Range. The vehicle system readiness poll includes electrical systems, hydraulics, pneumatics, propulsion systems, flight control, and propellants. Let's listen in as Dylan Rice performs the final polling.
The status check. minus 10 minutes. Status check to proceed with terminal count, Vulcan systems, propulsion. Go. Hydraulics. Go. Pneumatics. Go. LNG. Go. LO2. Go. Water. Go. Centaur systems, propulsion. Go. Pneumatics. Go. LO2. Go. LH2. Go. Gas. Go. Electrical systems, airborne. Go. Ground. Go. Facility. Go. RFFTS. Go. Flight control. Go. GC cubed. Go. Operation support. Go. COM. Go. Umbilicals. Go. ECS. Go. Red line monitor. Go. Quality. Go. Op safety manager. Go. ULA safety officer. Go. Vehicle system engineer. Go. Anomaly chief. Go. Range coordinator. Clear to proceed. Launch director. You have permission to launch. Proceeding with the count. ALC. Verify T0 is set for 071838 Zulu. Verified.
And folks, we just heard that we do have permission to launch from the launch director.
Is go for launch. From T-minus 7 minutes until liftoff, you'll hear Dylan Rice and the team performing the final steps in the countdown procedure. Several critical activities occur in the final minutes before launch, including verifying fuel tank levels and pressures in the booster and Centaur, and arming the flight termination system. At T-minus 1 minute, the Range Operations Commander confirms the range is in a green condition for launch. At T-minus 25 seconds, you'll hear Go Vulcan, Go Centaur, Go Peregrine. This is the final status check of rocket and payload readiness. At T-minus 7 seconds, ROFI sparklers will ignite, followed a second later by initiation of the launch pad water deluge system. At T-minus 3 seconds, the main engines ignite. Then, after seeing Vulcan's first ever liftoff from Slick 41, you'll begin hearing flight commentator Rob Gannon providing launch vehicle ascent data.
All right, folks, we are coming up on T-minus 7 minutes. And at this point, the main clock will start turning. We would hope we'd come off this hold. We're still showing the main clock at 7 minutes. I'm showing T-minus 6:35. There we go. Everything seems to be looking good. Final top-offs. In the next about 3 to 4 minutes, a little bit more, we'll start seeing the venting. And hopefully be ready for an on-time launch. All right, folks, we're at T-minus 4 minutes and 23 seconds. Everything's still looking good. The Vulcan Centaur is still continuing to be topped off. You see the flame off this side there. There's one on the other side too, a smaller one, a larger. Those are the two fuels that are burning off. Just run to the 4-minute mark. And again, all's looking good. So at this point, we will just stand by. And I believe if nothing changes, we will have an exciting launch this morning.
This mission includes 234 flight capsules containing cremated remains, DNA samples, and messages of greetings from clients worldwide on an endless journey in interplanetary space beyond the Earth-Moon system to orbit the Sun forever.
$249. STS internal. $238. $230.
CLO2 PLC started.
Coming up on 2 minutes. All's looking good. We're seeing everything nominal. The only concern was the cloud cover. We are only looking at a 15% chance of violating with the weather rule.
Vehicle internal. T-minus 2 minutes. The
Vehicle's on internal power right now.
Ground systems and eastern range are go for launch.
And we are go for launch.
For those of you just joined.
All right, everybody, we're just under 1 minute to launch. All still looking good.
Vulcan tanks at step 3.
BE4 start box, go.
Status check.
Go Vulcan.
Go Centaur. Go Peregrine.
15. Then
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. We have ignition. And liftoff of the first United Launch Alliance Vulcan rocket, launching a new era in spaceflight to the moon.
And we have liftoff. And a beautiful one it is.
SRBs.
This is the first operational mission involving the B4 engine as produced by Blue Origin.
And we've got pitching out programs in, coming into normal rates.
So far, everything on the comm sounds good.
We have good hydraulic pressure on both engines. Good chamber pressure on both engines. Everything looking good. Coming up on 60 seconds into the flight, everything looking good. 2 good engines, 2 good SRBs. Body rates look good, nice and smooth. And we've hit our first throttle point on the BE4s, everything looking good. And we have passed through Mach 1, we are now supersonic, coming up on max Q. We've had max dynamic pressure, everything looking good, we're rolling off on the SRBs. And we have cutoff on the SRBs, coming up on jettison in approximately 30 seconds. "15 seconds to SRB jet, BE4s continue to operate nominally. Seeing expected PU activity on the booster mains. And we have separation of both SRBs, everything looking good. BE4s continue to operate normally.
SRB SEP went well.
Into the mission. We are now 17 miles.
BE4s continue to burn.
Of solid rocket booster jettison. We have about 3 minutes until we reach
All
our
looks
next
nominal.
event, booster engine cutoff.
And we see booster PU correcting towards a nominal MR, everything looking good. Both engines continue to burn normally. And we now weigh approximately half of our liftoff weight. Everything looking good. And we fired the power valve, activating the reaction control system on the upper stage. Pressures are rising. As expected, BE4 continues to operate normally. Vehicles continue to fly down the center of the range track, everything looking good. 33 miles in altitude, 52 miles downrange, traveling at 4,000 miles per hour. Continue to see excellent performance out of the BE4s. Chamber pressure nice and smooth. Vehicle steadily accelerating, a little over 2 Gs at this time. Good body rates. Nice and smooth operation of the booster. 47 miles in altitude, 95 miles downrange at 5,500 miles per hour. Engines continue to burn normally, everything looking good. And the vehicle now weighs 1/4 of its liftoff weight as we pass through the Kármán line. Next mark event we're looking for is boost phase chill down on the Centaur main engine.
And as you heard, the spacecraft has passed through the Kármán line, so it is officially in space now. Everything is looking good. Looking for booster engine cutoff. At that point, we'll be looking at stage SEP. Get the second stage lit up. Continue to boost the payload into orbit. And we have stage separation. Looks like a good SEP. Second stage by the animation has ignited. Fairings have been jettisoned, and unlike SpaceX, none of this is recovered, including the fairings. This is a totally disposable unit, every part of it. And at the top of the animation you see, that is the animation of the lander. Everything looks good.
I know it's still early, but congratulations.
Thank you. You as well. This is amazing.
How did it feel to watch the Vulcan rocket lift off for the first time?
Okay, folks. Well, it looks like at this point in time, we have just animated coverage, and that can be found online. We have a good launch, successful launch, on time. And looking forward to the updates from ULA. I'll be tracking their X feed as well as their webpage, so we can get additional information on the second stage, the health of the payload, as well as when it is let go to begin its trip onto the moon. Been exciting. Turned out to be a very good launch. Appreciate those of you that came along for the ride. If you are a subscriber, we thank you so much. We're trying to grow the channel, trying to do a lot of things here. If you're not a subscriber, we'd appreciate you considering subscribing and liking the videos. Every one of those subscribers matters. Every like matters. And we appreciate everyone that takes the time to come out to the channel. Again, we're a growing channel. Planning on making more and more trips out to the Cape, doing some live streaming for you. Did one last week. Had a great time. And we're looking to do many more. So with that, we'll say good evening. Thanks again. And we'll see you for the next launch.